Hi everyone, I just got home from a fairly full day and I have a huge full grocery bag here that I brought home with me, which I'm about to put into the fridge right now. So yeah, and today was also the third or fourth or fifth day of Lunar New Year. So I was in Chinatown and trying to get some like baked Chinese treats or baked goods, both savory and sweet. So yeah, that was really lovely. I've been wanting to do that for a while now. And what else did I do? Oh yes, I was supposed to go to the Lunar New Year parade. Also happy Chinese New Year. Happy Lunar New Year. Gong hei, gong hei. So I was gonna go to the parade, but then it started snowing really heavily this morning. So my friend whom I was supposed to go with, we were just really sleepy and cozy and we didn't end up going, and it's my 7th year in a row missing the annual Lunar New Year parade downtown, so yeah, that's okay. There's always next year, but yeah, essentially I just went to Chinatown to get some baked goods and that was it. And yeah, I'm just like yapping right now about my day, but I'm so grateful. It was such a lovely day and the snow was really pretty as well. And yeah, I'm just, feeling very full with all these groceries and with all the baked treats that I got. I will take my time settling in and then come back to this camera. Okay, so here we are. I'm a little more settled in. I'm filming this on February 2nd, and I just found out a few moments ago that my moon cycle has arrived, which completely explains why I was so randomly emotional on the streets of Chinatown earlier. Yeah, I was just feeling like sadness or like heaviness at first, and then me realizing that I was feeling heavy and telling myself like, oh my goodness, I've spent most of January feeling heavy. I do not want to spend another day feeling heavy, so I was like using that awareness to transmute that into like more helpful thoughts and just trying to send more gentleness to myself, and in a way also at the same time romanticizing my experience, or like just my experience of like walking down the streets of Chinatown while it's snowing, because it was snowing pretty hard today. But yeah, it actually helped. Like romanticizing anything honestly helps so much, either that or humor. So yeah, that transmutation actually helped. Yeah, and it's also comforting to know that, oh, like my moon cycle is here, so that was it was a hormonal effect. It wasn't like yet another deep thing that I had to like look into and like purge or something, because I've done so much of that all of January. But yeah, and for context, because I love talking about moon cycles and living by the moon, I don't get angry or annoyed like when it's around my moon cycle time. I just get like sad. That's like the most that I feel as an effect, like emotionally and even physically. Like I don't get cramps, and it's really ever since I started to live by the moon cycle, by the moon phases. So essentially resting more when it's around the new moon and being more inward, and then as the new moon grows into a fuller moon, that's a time for like more activity and more like moving ahead, like charging forward with whatever project I'm working on. And then once the full moon starts to wane to nothingness, that's my time to like start releasing and like slowing down essentially. Oh, and FYI, in case you weren't familiar, for moon cycle, I was pretty much referring to womb cycle, aka menstruation cycle. And you may or may not know that I love talking about the moon cycle a lot, but living by the moon phases was literally what helped me with any PMS symptom and really changed my very irregular menstruation phases to really regular ones. So now it's like my period never misses a season or like goes off by like some weird date. And you may or may not have already heard this from me, but it is very scientifically supported as well. And even UBC science textbooks state that the 28-day moon cycle corresponds with or influences the 28-day womb cycle. Anyways, there's a ton of Instagram posts that I have previously spoken about these topics, so I won't go too deep into that today. I was just mentioning it because I got my period today. But I will link some posts in the description box below, including a whole Instagram reel that I made last time describing how I live with the moon cycle, but even more in depth. I go by like the moon zodiac sign each day that the moon is in. and I use that to actually plan my month ahead as well. So that's like very, very detailed. I feel like most people with wombs around me that I know who do follow the moon cycle, they only follow like when the moon is waning, when it's waxing, when it's full, when it's new. They just schedule their lifestyle around that instead of so in depth by like going into like when the moon is in which zodiac by each day, which is, you might think it's extreme, but it's really helped me. So yeah, anyways, I'll link on my previous post about that in the description box. But I'm sitting here today because I have an announcement which I am excited about, but also kind of nervous because any change, any new thing is always nerve-wracking. But I don't know, I just always love to try things, and even if they fail, really, there's no such thing as failure. I just love trying things, and who knows where it'll lead, but I am ready to take this transition or to make this transition. So essentially, I will from now on be moving all of my long form speaking videos that I've been posting so far on YouTube that are about spirituality, well-being, and just about my personal journey, healing journeys and all that. I will be now posting them on Patreon instead of YouTube. And the reason for that is I just have been feeling like I could use an energetically safer space to share more unfilteredly the things that I go through. Just essentially all of my life experiences from which I learned really big lessons from and that I want to share just because. And also just because I love video diaries and just like documenting through voice into a video. And like doing that on YouTube has been really fun and fulfilling. But yeah, I'm feeling the call to just create this more energetically safe bubble where people who are actually interested in listening would listen with more intention. And that also, I think, subconsciously would allow me to yap and speak more unfilteredly without being so careful with my words, because YouTube is really public and like anyone on the planet can watch them. And by transitioning all of my long form speaking videos onto Patreon, would it have less reach, and would there be fewer people watching them? Probably, most likely, but that is kind of the point. Like, I would love for any listeners who tune in to be people who are already open to such topics and already curious about them, and yeah, I guess holding less judgment as well. I was writing this down in my journal the other day, saying one thing I really appreciate is people responding to any hardships that or vulnerabilities that I share, and sometimes not even like to them, like I'm not even saying it to them, but it's like I might share it like on YouTube, for example, or on Instagram. And I really appreciate the people in my life and the friends in my life who inquire with curiosity and non-judgment and empathy, compassion, and just like open-mindedness, open-heartedness, and also encouragement, and also humility. But there are also sometimes people who respond with pity and assumptions of what I need, which most of the time are quite wrong. And even if it's well-intentioned, it's still a misassumption. And strangely, sometimes also competition. And these are acquaintances, so like people that I'm on good terms with, or people who have presented themselves to be friends with me. But anyways, I mean, I don't have an explanation for behaviors like that. I understand different things trigger different people, and I have learned to not take things personally. And yeah, I mean, like, if things I say trigger other people, like, that's fine. But yeah, I guess like that's an energy that I realized I don't really need like as a response to the things that I share. Yeah, because pity doesn't help me. It is not supportive. It is giving the I don't believe in you vibe. And yeah, this has happened like very rarely, of course, but even just with these few experiences, this helps me be aware that there are certain people that I would like, or that I would feel better being vulnerable with or sharing such topics with, and some people who maybe aren't ready to hear that. but it's okay if they choose to listen and respond in their own ways, I guess. But yeah, I understand there's so many reasons why people would respond in many ways other than non-judgment and non-projection. And even if it was from a place of envy, I completely understand as well. And for the record, I don't feel like envy is a negative thing. I feel like it's very different from jealousy, and you probably may have like read about this elsewhere or heard about this somewhere else, but to me, envy is like looking at what someone else has or is enjoying and feeling a little bit of, is reservation the right word? Maybe reservation. You're just feeling a little bit of maybe disdain. Yeah, disdain that you don't have the same thing, but it's like you're envious because a deep part of you knows that you're capable of achieving that same thing. And so it's like you're seeing an alternate version of you in that other person who's enjoying that thing that you so deeply desire. And so like to me, in that sense, envy is really kind of a kick of inspiration. That's how I take it, and so that's why I don't see it as a negative thing at all. And if I'm envious of like any one of my friends and I'm talking to them, I will straight up just tell them like, oh, I'm so envious of you. And I take that, I mean that as a compliment, because it's like, okay, I'm envious, like I like aspire to be where you are, like I want to be where you are. So yeah, very different from jealousy, which carries a bit more bitterness, I feel. And just energetically, I don't want to like label any or like judge any emotion, but it feels a little stickier, or is ickier even a good word to describe it? But yeah, energetically, jealousy feels stickier than envy. And obviously that's not to say that I've never like experienced jealousy in my life ever, like of course I have. But it's just like nice to be aware of it. So yeah, like I said, I don't feel envy is a bad or negative thing. Really, to me, it's a reflection of your own potential that a part of you knows is lying deep inside that is yet to be tapped into. So yeah, but having said that, I feel like what I could use less of and what I'm trying to like set more boundaries with is when some people in their envy, unfortunately, and most times unknowingly, take delight when the person that they're envious of, when they find out that that person does not in fact have it all together. So for example, when that person is, or when they see that person struggling or having a hard time. And I think that delight is not necessarily a malicious thing. It's more so like a comfort of like, oh, like this person isn't as great as I thought, and so it's like comforting. But it's like the truth is we have been equal from the start. Like we've all been on the same level from the very start. So like this idea of like being envious of someone and like putting them on a pedestal is an illusion from the very start. Anyways, but yeah, so that brought up like weird feelings in me when I like started to experience envy at that level from others. Like I said, it's quite rare, but still I think that made me reflect a lot on like what or like how much I want to share publicly in terms of like my stories, even though I know that they help other people. But yeah, I was just like wondering like how can I set these boundaries, because it's like, okay, it feels weird to receive this icky energy of like envy that's taken to this level. And yeah, I would just need boundaries. And like, what can you do? What can I do? Just keep being messy and perfect, I guess. Just kidding. Perfectly imperfect or imperfectly perfect, whichever you like. So yeah, honestly, at first, Patreon sounded like a very strange alternative avenue to choose, but it's the only thing that's the only inspo that's coming to my mind right now, so I might as well just roll with it and see where it takes me, as long as I have a platform where I can yap and feel like there's as little judgment as possible, even though I guess in the real world there will always be judgment, but it's okay. And I guess you could say also that, oh, I could just put up energetic boundaries and stuff to like protect myself, which I totally could, and I've been doing that like forever. But I think like it could also be nice to just put in less effort with the energetic boundaries and just have like my own bubble, like a Patreon bubble from the very start, so that I don't have to spend so much energy like putting up all these boundaries and like clearing away energies that for example, of like envy or whatever that don't serve me. So yeah, just curating a more intentional circle of listeners. So yeah, that was my little update. Very long story for such a small update. And yeah, for YouTube, I'm not sure what I'll do with it. I feel like I would love to post more music things here. So yeah, on Patreon, at the time that I'm filming this, I haven't made it yet, but once I have uploaded this video, the Patreon should be up and it will be in my description box. And the plan is for most of the Patreon members to also have exclusive discounts to whatever service that I offer on my website, leonakong.com, which I also will link in the description box. So yeah, and yeah, on Patreon, okay, I'm so excited to post all my videos on Patreon. I have a list of like topics I want to talk about. I want to talk about perfectionism and how that's affected me going to theater and acting, and also past life regression. And I can't wait to talk about my Kundalini awakening, which I've been going through, and just so much transformation, transmutation, and healing over the whole month of January, which is such a wintry, like inward month. And honestly, January was like one of the hardest months for me in the past like 12 months. And I'm so happy February is here, and it feels like a fresh start, and Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year just happened, so it's nice to have a second chance, so to speak, at another new year. But yeah, like I'm very excited for all the things I'm about to share, and I thank you in advance if you intend to see me on the other side, to see me in that realm, in that bubble. I thank you so much, and if you don't end up joining, that is so completely fine as well. I still so appreciate you being here and listening to this or to any other video that I've ever shared on YouTube, because everything that I've shared on YouTube I feel so far has been very personal and vulnerable. So yeah, thank you for receiving. Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm wishing you such a good February ahead. Yeah, all right, much love. Thank you.